Before we start on employee awards, the governing board is about to experience Carol Wehle as she is with her staff. And I'm going to take the executive privilege today to address an issue. My staff knows that when things are going on out there, I just rip the Band-Aid off and I want to talk about it. And I want to address my retirement. And while I'm talking to the board, I'm really wanted to talk to the staff. I wanted to make it perfectly clear. You know, I woke up this morning and I read the newspapers and I said, that's it. I'm coming in and I'm going to talk publicly. I usually don't engage with myself and on a personal level with the media, and I don't think anybody should have to do that. But I'm going to do it today, and it'll be the first and last time that I do it. I wanted the staff to know that the Scott administration did not call or communicate in any way and ask me to resign. Yesterday, I voluntarily submitted my paperwork to retire from this agency, and that paperwork has been in the works, unfortunately, for the board, hopefully, for a couple of weeks. And I do want to say that the staff here at this agency, one of the things I appreciate the most is the professionalism and the discretion that our benefits people show. Because if you are even considering retirement and just want to go through the calculations, I mean, none of you knew, did you? But I've been talking to our benefits people, and I thank them for the professionalism and the discretion that they showed me as I was looking at the numbers and making this, you know, a major decision in my life. So I just wanted to make that clear, that I'm retiring for personal and professional reasons. Professional, I am not going to work. I also felt that I needed to address some things that have recently been written in the Palm Beach Post. I usually don't respond to these things, but I you know, have been reading a lot of very nasty and very personal things and in the blogs. So I did want to set the record straight, and my staff knows I do know how to do this, though it hurts. I want you all to know that the last 2.5 years of my life have been particularly difficult. And while I won't share a lot of personal details, I did want to respond to some of the things that have been written. My husband had very serious emotional and mental challenges. And I spent 2 very long and painful years of my life as an active member of Al-Anon. And I also want to thank Human Resources for our Employee Assistance Program, because I have used our Employee Assistance Program to help me support someone that was a very important man in my life. And for those of you that are suicide survivors, it is a life-altering experience that you will never get over. But I do want everybody to know that I spent a very long period of time trying to be there and support a man that was not only a loving husband, but probably the only father figure my children ever had. And it is unfortunate that that man chose to take his own life as a way to finally deal with the emotional issues that he was going through. And this is a personal plea to the people in the audience. If any of you have family members that have either drug addiction or alcohol addiction or emotional and mental issues, I urge you to reach out to the Employee Assistance Program, because my years of Al-Anon and my years of counseling were what allowed me to be the support system that at least I hope I helped to extend my husband's life as long as it did. And I still attend counseling because if you haven't had suicide in your family, I can tell you that it takes a long time to deal with that particular issue. So anything that you have read in the blogs, I want to say this to the people that printed it. How dare you assume and write such horrible things about someone you don't even know and assume things that went on somebody's life because you do not know. You just don't know. I also want to set this record straight. And by the way, I said that because I got a phone call from my daughter who is devastated by the things that were written about her stepfather. And actually, my children gave me permission to say that. And that's all I'm ever going to say about that publicly. But I will say this, nobody should ever have to talk about that publicly. Now, this agency decided that it needed to have a position that was both a liaison and a position that would audit the engineering and technical work that the Army Corps of Engineers was performing for this agency. I want you to know that when that position was created, the board members were briefed and supported the creation of that position. That position went through the appropriate personnel policies and recruitment and all of that. And when Bob Howard was selected, every board member was notified of that selection. Every board member understood who that person was, and that selection was made with their support. I think the thing that bothers me the most is the cruel things that have been reported about that particular person not being qualified. Mr. Howard does and always has and has never done anything other than audit the Army Corps of Engineers in their technical and engineering work performance. That person does not in any way, shape, or form audit anything at this agency. That person has a master's degree in civil engineering from Georgia Tech. He is a professional engineer and licensed. And the other thing they wrote about him is that he has no experience. I want you all to think back. You all know Bob Howard. He was here way before I ever came to the district. In his last 2 years before he went into the private sector for a short period of time, he was in New Orleans working with the National Academy of Science and the American Society of Civil Engineers, performing the audit on the pump station failures and the levee failures in New Orleans for the Army Corps of Engineers. He is probably a handful of experts in the work that we do here at this agency, and is one of the smartest and most competent people I know, with an incredible amount of integrity. And to suggest that he has no experience when he's actually received commendations from the Pentagon on the auditing work that he did in New Orleans is a disservice to a very honorable and a very brilliant man. If the public has a problem with the district policy of allowing people that are married or engaged or have relationships to work in different chains of command, then that could be an issue to be debated publicly. But this was an issue that was created. Now, with that said, when you're in my position, you accept that you are a target. And you accept the fact in the government and political world that perception is more important than reality. And I will probably never have the opportunity to undo the perception. But I did want to talk to my staff about the reality, because I would never violate an ethical law or a district policy and knowingly or unknowingly bring disrespect to you, because you are the best people in the world, and I would never do that to you, and did not do that to you in this instance. So, you know, the public may never know it, but I wanted you to know it. Now I want to talk about why am I retiring. Henry was here for 4 years. Frank Finch was here for 2.5. And Sam Poole was here for 2.5, and I've been here for 6. I'm 57 years old. I am single and responsible for my own self and my own retirement. A couple of reasons. Sincerely, whoever the next executive director is, I would say this to them. This is a tough job, because you're serving agriculture and you're serving the urban water supply, and you are definitely serving the environment. And remember, the environment doesn't have a voice except for us. They don't come in the door, even though wonderful people like Audubon are here to represent. And what a balancing act. And as time goes on, it's going to be even more of a balancing act. And every time you make a decision, somebody probably doesn't like it. And you've got this huge staff, and they're wonderful. And taking care of the staff and trying to help them be the best that they can be and doing things, I think one of the things that I really care about the most is recruiting and retention, and especially retaining the wonderful workforce here. This is a tough job, and 6 years is a long time. And so I ran the numbers. I'm just, you know me, I probably shouldn't be saying this, but I'm going to tell you. I ran the numbers. I looked at where I was. I'm 57, and I'm doing early retirement. But if you look at everything that's going on right now financially, this is the best decision for me, so that I know I can take care of myself moving forward in the future. I'm probably going to take a month off, and you all know me. I am a type A personality, and I'm not going to be retired, but I am going to get another job and work. I would love to go to the private sector and enjoy the benefits of being in the private sector. Hopefully, I'll have the opportunity to follow my passion. And ever since I was a young pregnant woman living in Brevard County and joined the Marine Resources Council, and I was chair of the Watershed Action Committee for the Sebastian River, which was part of the very first swim program for the Indian River Lagoon. Water resources has been my passion. It was my advocacy before I worked for government, and it is what I did in government. And hopefully I will be privileged enough to be in the private sector in a way that I can continue to support my passion. So I'm going to leave you April 29th. I'm going to get my first retirement check in May, and I wish you all well.